London Uncovered. As we are moving on to a new episode, and today we are talking about Time to Talk Awareness Day. Yes, they say there is a great beauty on going through life without anxiety or fear. Half our fears are baseless and the other half discreditable. Good mental health is related to mental and psychological well-being. Too often people who experience a mental health problem are also expected to take the lead on talking about mental health. Time to Talk Day is the nation's biggest mental health conversation day, happening every year. It's a day for friends, families, communities, and workplaces to come together to talk, listen, and change lives. Time to Talk Day encourages everyone to talk about mental health. Mental health affects millions, and 1 in 4 suffer from a mental health problem. 9 out of 10 people who experience mental health problems say they face stigma and discrimination because of it. Children are also affected at a very young age and may show early warning signs of mental health concerns. So how can it be prevented? It can be prevented by addressing the known risk factors such as exposure to trauma and educational and sociological factors. Time to Talk Day draws attention to mental health and the importance of reaching out to others. The day aims to help people open up and to be honest about mental health without the fear and stigma often attached to the topic. On Time to Talk Day, one can help raise awareness about mental health and be a part of changing the narrative. A connection to other people and a community is fundamental to protecting our mental health, and we need to find better ways of tackling the epidemic of loneliness. And one author puts it beautifully, the anguish of loneliness, when he says, loneliness, the most desolate word in all human language, is capable of hurling the heaviest weights the heart can endure. It plays no favorites, yields no mercy, refuses all bargains. Crowds only makes it worse. Activity simply drives it deeper. Tears falls from our eyes as groans falls from our lips. But loneliness, the uninvited guest of the soul, arrives at dusk and stays for dinner. So instead of pointing a critical finger, let's go and point out a helping hand. Tell us, what does mental health mean to you?
So mental health it's very challenging. So everyone can go through different things in life, whether you're struggling financially or you've got problems with your family. People have different problems with different aspects in their life. I always say it's the best thing you've got to do is talk to people about it. People have the tendency to bottle everything up and it gets too much, and then they could just have mental breakdowns and it just gets too much. So always speak to your friends and family and obviously your nearest and dearest, because they can help you through it all.
So what message would you give to the world?
Surround yourself with positive, mind-liked people so you're not ever upset around them.
Holly, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tell us, what does mental health mean to you?
Well, mental health is something that we all have. It's just as important as physical health. Sometimes there's a lot more stigma involved and it can be a lot more complex than a physical health problem, but it's something that we all need to look after.
So why is it good to talk about it?
It's very important for people to be open with each other. It's important that we know that we're not alone, that everybody goes through times in their life where their mental health can be impacted, whether by a situation that they're in or some trauma or just something that is unexpected, but it's something that we can all go through.
What message would you give to the world, Sally?
the message I'd give to the world, that there is hope, that talk to people, let people pray for you, that God loves you, and that you will be okay.
Sally, as always, a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tell us, what does mental health mean to you?
Individually or generally? Well, it means a lot of suffering for a lot of people. There is still a negative shadow over people with mental health problems. You can see people generally out on the streets. If somebody's a bit whatever, people will avoid them or not engage with them. I think not out. Sometimes you have to be careful. But a lot of times these people just need some company and they're lonely. They just need a smile or a hand contact, and maybe people spending more time in their lives. I think there's a lot of elderly and sick and disabled and children. Every range of humanity suffers from it. But I think more should be done about it. I think it's quite an easy thing to talk about if you find someone you feel secure with. But I know men have more difficulty talking, but I feel at least it's more of an open subject. But when I do watch people, and I study people all the time, I can see the avoidance, or I can see the not knowing, or can't be bothered, or not going to engage. And I think the people are a bit more decent, a little bit kinder. And as this church says, as God says, and as I actually say, thou shalt not judge. We're all equal, whatever religion, whatever sexuality, whatever colour, creed, I don't care. We're all the same. We should look out for each other.
What message would you give to the world, Pippa?
To the world? Oh my gosh. To the world, be kinder. Slow down a little bit for other people. Be genuine, be sincere. And if you can't, don't. Or if you're too busy, that's fine. But when you have a little time, think of others. That's it.
Pippa, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tell us, what does mental health mean to you?
Yes, mental health for me has always been a big part of my life because my mum, she's suffered from mental health problems all of her life, so it's kind of impacted on my family in one way or another. But but at the same time, like me and my siblings, we all have grown up to be quite well-adjusted individuals, adults. So like I say, it's impacted my life because I saw her having like mental breakdowns. She had quite a few throughout my life, so I would spend time in foster care and things like that. So it's something that's quite personal to me, and that's why I don't like it when it's stigmatised, because we all suffer from some kind of mental problems in our life, whether it be bereavements. Even splitting up with your partner, it has a toll on your mental health. So I like to look at it as an issue where as a society we help people. We don't stigmatise them. We don't mock them for having mental health problems.
So why is it good to talk about it?
So it's good to talk about it because if you don't talk about your problems, then you feel like you're just going through that trauma on your own. And it can be a trauma, you know, some of the things that we have to deal with in our life, they're traumatic. If you don't have that person, that outlet to talk to, whether it be professional help, friends and family, then you internalize it and you actually make yourself even more ill. So that's why it's so good to talk about mental health. And like I say, you know, there's quite a few avenues you can go to. You don't have to speak to a professional. You can speak to your friends and your family. But you need to talk about it to rationalise what's going on in your life, I think.
What message would you give to the world, Tom?
Yeah, like it's good to talk about mental health, and like I say, you know, it shouldn't be a stigma in this day and age. We all suffer from some kind of personal trauma, and we're all affected by events in our lives. So that's why it's so good to talk, and we should all be talking about this, not demonising it, which happened in the past.
Tom, that was touching. Thank you once again.
You're welcome, Sanjay.
As we come to the end of this episode, and we've been talking about time to talk. And Paul Tooney, a Swiss psychologist, puts it very beautifully when he says, "He who would see himself clearly must open up to a confidant, freely chosen and worthy of such trust. Listen to the conversations of our world, between nations as well as those of between couples. For the most part, they are the dialogues of the deaf." And in spite of having so many schools of psychology, they say one doesn't agree with the other. And the best psychologist a person can have is a true friend. For a friend wears a smile when the world wears a frown. A friend lends a hand to help you when you're down. A friend knows when to listen and when to give advice. A friend is there forever, anytime, day or night. So let us, as true friends, set a time to talk.